on gold, but it actually makes them catch up entirely on experience, because this is obviously one of the weaknesses with going 5 heroes together all the time.
Yeah.
You share the experience. There's a lot of unclaimed experience in gold across the map, and with Pycat being in one lane and the Alliance heroes either being split across the remaining 2, or at least in one lane and maybe a bit of jungle, they keep up pretty well.
Fata almost in some trouble here. Nikwa puts down some power cogs, but Fata gets pushed away instead of being trapped inside. Now Fata will try to get aggressive, takes a Viper Strike as he looks to go to the high ground. Repel comes out, and that will ensure his survival as he does head back to safety. So again, no blood shed. 1-1 at the 16-minute mark. By far the most passive game we've seen in terms of hero kills this tournament.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that, because it's actually not really a passive game. Both teams are, it's not like they're just playing on their own half and farming.
Yeah.
Cloud9 are pushing for the towers. Alliance are playing aggressively on the enemy half, taking the bottom tier 1 tower. Pycat has been poking the tier 2 bottom. He was just pushing the top tier 1. And it's very important that Alliance keep trying to push out the lanes and play as aggressively as they can, because if they just fall back and let Cloud9 control the map, they would have lost all their towers by now already. They would have probably also lost the Roshan and ultimately been in a horrible position. But this way they keep their hopes alive, still being behind, but definitely not an insurmountable lead here. Hook shot's gonna miss.
Just off the mark. 2 TP reactions, though.
Oh, okay, that's very far off.
Alliance will just back out. So again, another gank attempt thwarted. Fata on the chase. He's now upgraded to the Crimson Guard. A great item in this kind of strategy when you're sieging. The fight breaks out. That on top of the GA, all these auras from the Chen creeps. They've got some pretty good synergy built around this team. Vlad's offering might not be a bad choice at some point in this game as well. Rasta level 7. He's got some wards ready to rock and roll, and now this tier 2 tower in the mid looks right for the claiming. They'll mech up the creep army. But hey, look at Pycat. He's just chopping down this tower, Tomahawk style. They'll trade a tier 1 for a tier 2, it looks like. Rasta wards have come down. Only one outer tower remaining for Alliance, and the tier 1 mid does fall. Still more gold going the way of Pycat.
Yeah, what's he gonna get? He has the SNY and the Helm of the Dominator. Is there anything else on the courier? I don't think so yet, though. There still is going to be an inevitable push, and the question is, can they either kite Cloud9 long enough for Guardian Angel to expire and then turn around and fight, or are they going to itemize by getting things to remove Guardian Angel, like a Diffusal Blade or maybe a couple of Yules to just draw out the fight or something like that? Could be a very interesting pickup to see on multiple Radiant heroes here. I think it would be great for Zeus, who is actually, speaking of the Devil building one, pretty close even to his own.
Yeah, he is actually. Pretty good farm there.
Staff on Omni. Clockwork counter, more than anything here. And also, a pretty good pushing item. It allows Bristleback to go in with more confidence and hitting the tower later on, and knowing he can always just turn around and get saved.
Also not bad against the Viper, same reasoning. If the Bristle gets Viper struck, you can just force staff him away, back to safety. Glancing at the graph, things plateauing a little bit for Cloud9, and this is when things start to get scary. They were on the rise, and now they need to keep finding objectives. And maybe that comes in waiting out next to Roche. Age is close to expiring, actually has expired already. So Roche will be coming up before too long here. Taking the outer towers is one thing, but sieging the high ground, even against this Alliance lineup, I think is easier said than done for Cloud9.
It's not going to be that easy, and I think the main problem, I think Cloud9 are waiting for the next Roche, honestly.
You do or don't?
I think they are.
Yes.
They're going to wait for the next Roche. I think they're looking for 1 or 2 key items. We're going to see an SNY on Envy, and it's possible that Fata does want to turn this cloak into a pipe, but although I do think it's an SNY build-up for him as well. Pipe is nice against Zeus, and to an extent against Viper as well, but I actually don't know if it's the item choice they would be looking for anyway. I think multiple BKBs could also be really good for sieging high ground, and then trying to time the push around minute 30 before Troll gets completely ridiculous. And while they're still strong themselves.
Could it possibly be a Halberd coming out from Fata to try and deal with this Troll in this little window before the BKB comes out, when they could potentially siege high ground?
That's actually a really nice idea, too, to get a Halberd and a Pipe and just try to go that path, since the movement speed is not that relevant for Cloud9's lineup, I feel, since the way they're going to be pushing, they're going to be pretty static, just hitting the tower. And if they need to get the hell out of there, they can send back with Chen, they have Repel, they have the Force Staff we talked about, and at least Sniper is fast
shot on the Big Daddy in the bottom lane.
Big Daddy.
Yep, Big Daddy indeed, sir. Saves the hand of God, but an easy pick off for Alliance. Makes it 2-1 here in 20 minutes of gameplay.
Pycat is ensnared again.
He wants this Chen army. He's lost his Alpha Wolf, and
Pycat took it over the Centaur.
Oh, there you go. That's why
he's in a horrible position, though.
Yeah, this is very awkward. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Bone 7 bumps into Nikwa, Armor of Omniscience. Not going to be too threatening here. Ake will TP home. Close call, but does make it. Not that Omni could have interrupted him anyway.
Pykat's actually getting away with this.
Wow.
Oh, my lord.
Rocket Flare comes in, scout things out a little bit, try and push back this wave. This is the last outer tower for Alliance. Cloud9 trying to tighten that noose and get one step closer to the Tier 3 towers. We'll see what that Roshan timer looks like coming up soon here, and could change the way Cloud9 approaches the next part of this match. What are you thinking about this item pickup on Loda? He went from mech straight into the hand of Midas.
I think it fits the purpose of the game, like how things are going. Alliance know that the hardest part of the game for them most likely is the up-and-coming 10 minutes. So he has two choices. Either he itemizes to be as effective as possible during those 10 minutes, or he assumes that they will be able to hold regardless, and then he's building an advantage so that should Cloud9 fail just a single push, or maybe they need to fail 2 pushes, then Loda will be significantly ahead and will be so strong that he can actually just run into Cloud9 and take the fight head-on.
I like the idea. We saw that yesterday. I forget which matchup it was, but the
Team Malaysia
Viper.
versus Secret.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
From
It worked out
Kachigimba,
very
I
well.
think.
Same kind of a mindset there. With
Yep.
the early mech and then securing some late game.
Malaysia did play a bit different, though. They didn't only take towers, they also found a lot of kills. And this game, Cloud9 pretty much have only managed to gain map control, but not really get a significant experience lead off of it.
Well, now things are devolving into more passivity here. Both teams on their relative side of the map, just farming out Ancients, farming out jungles, and waiting out next to Roche, I think, for both sides of the coin. We see this Centaur Conqueror here, the brave warrior trying to scout the Roche respawn, will get taken out. But they've got Rocket Flare, so Alliance have plenty of tools to try and scout out the Roche pit and gauge C9's movements.
This is a very tense moment here for both teams. This Roshan is of extreme importance as Pykat's actually just going to run into Big Daddy here. He's going to start chasing him down. There needs to be some sort of response. And the response is...
a few TPs and a mech.
Couple TPs here.
I don't think Pycat was really looking to fight there, just looking at the potential free pickoff.
And I like what Cloud9 are doing in this game. They're making sure to farm their Chen, because he's an integral part of the way they want to run the lineup. So he has 100 CS minute 23. In comparison, I think this was roughly the amount of CS that Way Too Sexy had minute 90 in the Tinker versus Cloud9 game.
Okay.
The opening match of the tournament. So it goes to show how much Notel has been farming and not playing sacrificial, but rather focusing on getting these key items up, as this Roche will be uncontested. Aegis goes to Fata, and the farm on Notel allows him to almost get an Aghanim Scepter minute 20, or 25 rather. Key item, get the Granite Golem, very important for the push as well. Low cooldown of the ultimate allows them to keep the push consistent and reset and re-go a lot easier. And
yeah, they get the Roche, but Alliance do get a Tier 1 tower out of it, so they still find a little bit of economic gain there. Not an ideal trade, it could be a lot worse. BKB looks like could be on the horizon for the Troll Warlord, no big surprise there. Very core. Rather expected, I'd say. Fata will get sent back to fill up his bottle. So what's the timing for Cloud9 look like here, Synderen? When do they start making this push happen?
Chen Ags, I think.
Chen Ags, that's the turning point?
Yeah, Chen Ags in level 11, I think. Because after that, every minute they spend farming is not really that well given out, I feel. This Shadow Shaman is going to have 11 at the same time, I think. Those level 2 ultimates are really good. Alliance will be starting to get more and more key items. You see Pycat actually almost finishing a very important item right now, and they can wait too long. And that's something that Cloud9 sometimes does as a team, is that they hesitate a little bit with pushing high ground. And this game, there is no doubt that they did draft a Deathball push strat, but they're waiting a bit. I still think that it's the right call to not go, but I'm nervous that they decide not to go when they have this Ags on Chen and the Shadow Shaman level 11, and then they're just delaying it for no reason.
And pulling up that net worth graph again, we talked about how it was plateauing, and now it's actually on the rise for Alliance as they've been continuing to split the map, and you'll see the same thing on the XP graph, actually giving Alliance a slight edge right now. A lot of that because Cloud9 has been grouped up as 5, like you were mentioning before. They will move into Radiant Ancients here, and maybe this is where the aggression starts to come out. How close are we to that Aghanims on Mr. Daddy here? That's still a little ways away.
Daddy. Sugar Daddy. Getting close.
Sugar Daddy no-tail. All right.
Oh,
Well, Cloud9 grouping
right.
up in the
Maybe
mid lane.
it's go
Do they
time
just
now.
go straight for the high ground instead of the tier 2 down bottom, perhaps?
It seems a little bit off timing, but maybe they feel like they can't wait for No-Tail to get the Ags and the level 11 and the Shadow Shaman 2 without it costing them their Aegis, and that's actually still more important than any of those items.
They've got an interesting spread of
Get a
creeps
use,
here. Lots of Dark Troll summoners. Rasta wards come down on the high ground. Fata gets Viper struck, but he has a repel on. We'll be okay as the front line. Remember, he's the one holding the Aegis. So they'll be happy to let him soak up all this damage. Nikwa going in trying to finish off some Rasta wards, but that's not happening. And he gets force stabbed back. Lift comes out from the Radiant side. Tier 3 tower getting low. So far, so good for Cloud9. The siege looking pretty potent. Loda taking a lot of damage from Fata. And this repel making Cloud9's life very easy. How does Alliance even initiate this? Bristleback in the front line is right there, and you know Envy is going to be doing a lot of damage in the back lines.
Well, they give Envy the repel now. He's going in aggressively. They don't mind if they go on Fata now since they've already got the racks.
But look in the bottom lane. Pycat, he's split pushing. Tier 3 tower, just getting tickled. He just doesn't have the damage yet. They'll get the melee barracks. Range stays standing, very low on HP. Alliance maybe looking for some counter kills here. They'll catch the Chen trying to TP home with the Yules. Big Daddy should go down. But a very small consolation for losing their melee barracks.
Yeah, the ranged barracks top actually does stay up, but only with 1/10 of health here. And that just looks so easy for Cloud9. They're like, oh, okay, we'll do it again. Next lane, I guess. They're going to probably need to get a couple of Chen creeps here. It should take them a minute of build-up, and that will cost their Aegis. But after seeing that, it makes me wonder, do they even need it?
Yeah, very reminiscent of that Omni Knight Juggernaut we saw yesterday with that slow siege on the high ground. Very similar feel with how do you initiate on the repelled hero that you can keep up 24/7, as they say. Fata with a lot of gold in the bank also, so he'll be able to make his next investment. Maybe an Assault Cross would work nicely here just to make the siege that much easier.
It's possible that this Axe Scepter that Loda is working on can make a big difference, and so that he gets the low cooldown on the ultimate and can keep spamming that out on the repelled target, and maybe that can deter them from pushing. But even that, I'm not sure is enough. And
well, they may lose another lane of barracks before he gets it here.
Yeah, with Cloud9 getting
close,
that top lane, they could just itemize right now and go to town.
Okay,
Lots of gold on Fata. Okay, never mind
Yeah,
that. He actually got it.
But this time there's no glyph, so if Alliance want to go, they've got to do it soon. Viper strikes straight onto Fata. He is repelled for a bit longer. Aegis of the Immortal still in the inventory, but will be expiring relatively soon here. It's a matter of seconds. Timing, crucial for Cloud9 at this point. They need to be very cautious, and it looks like they will as they back out and reset.
Yeah, Loda's going to keep spamming this out all day. The
As he
regen
should.
will be kicking in here. Cloud9 going to control their side of the map a little bit. Perhaps they wait for the next Roshan for the next push. I don't know if that's a good call. Okay, this is pretty good for them, I guess, but curious to see what did Fata buy. He just bought a big item. All right, you were right.
Okay.
And he even almost has it, so...
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult to hold.
Great item to have when you've got a sniper on your team who is going Scotty, so looks like Envy just wants to tank up, go for the utility items, and he's closing in as well. Scotty notorious for the terrible build-up, but once you get it, boy, is it potent.
And I think this is actually a record for this year. I think this is the lowest amount of kills in a 30-minute game.
It's got to be
in
close.
2015.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure.
4 kills in 30 minutes. Actually impressive, the lack of kills these teams have put
I
out.
do think there's been other games with a similar amount of kills at minute 30, but it's a really long time ago, and this might even be the record. 4 kills at minute 30 sounds ridiculous, actually, but
I'm sure there's a stats guy Dotaing away right now trying to figure out the lowest scoring game in history. Here we go,
Fata.
swap onto Fata. He uses the Crimson Guard. A lot of damage, and he just can't survive. Pycat will use that first BKB charge. Tower still goes down. It is denied by Loda. And showing us that the Bristleback, maybe not as tanky as he initially seemed. Without the repel, they can just chop right through him.
he didn't have his AC on him there, though, and that is almost done, so he's gonna tank up. He probably has at least, for the next fight, another 1,000 EHP against physical damage, I guess, with all that armor coming in. Or something comparable, I guess, so. Chen also not using Hand of God or Mech. Need to take that into the equation as well. And the Granite Golem, also available. There's, like... They did kill him fast, though, so it definitely looks doable for Alliance, but this one skill, the Venge swap, is, in my opinion, probably their only hope at winning this game.
You think so?
If the Venge makes a mistake and doesn't get a good swap out, they probably lose. That's a big...
Look at this itemization.
That's a step in the right direction. That's needed.
I think so as well. On top of the medallion. Very nice.
There we go.
And more big items coming out
Envy,
on both
not
sides
using
of the
it for
coin.
decoration this time. Grabs it immediately. Not leaving it to the courier.
Oh, boy. All right, farming continues. Glancing at the net worth, Pycat still topping the charts, and we're starting to get to that point where Alliance are able to at least find some footing. You look at that net worth graph, and it's Cloud9 on the decline, and Alliance with a slightly more significant experience edge. Both teams kind of hovering around the Roche pit here, so a little ways until he comes up, not past that initial timer yet, but Alliance using that rocket flare just in case.
And I think if you're Alliance, you have to fight for it. I don't think you can give this Aegis away. It's kind of the same as giving Elena Rax away, it feels like, at this point. Like, they are getting stronger, but killing Fata twice, they have to use swap for the first kill, and then what do you do for the second?
Hope he overcommits and dives some towers. That's about all you can do.
And the thing is, even if they get him far into the base, Bone 7, perfect itemization in my opinion. Get all the mobility in the world on the Omni Knight. Has the blink and the Force Staff. So even if they get him, Fata, into the base, if they commit abilities, Bone 7 can blink in on the second life, repel Guardian Angel, and they can either re-go or just chase, or just relax and take the tower with the wards. Here we go.
Well, bottom lane, Cloud9 continuing to siege. Grouped up is 5. They've got the Aghanim's Chen. There's your Granite Golem. Rocket Flare will scout things out a little bit. A Centaur Conqueror in the front lines for some additional control. They want this high ground. Glyph has cooled down for Alliance, so they at least have something to reset with. Mad also level 13. He's got some itemization to him, so his damage output starting to increase. There's that repel out on Fata, but the purge from Mad is there. Fata taking a lot of damage. Guardian Angel turns it around. Venge, the first to fall. Serpent wards have come down, but Pycat, BK Beyond trying to lay into Fata and just can't do it. The AC beefing him up a little bit here as Nikwa makes it back. Assassinate for the kill. It's a 2-0, but Cloud9 can't break the high ground.
No glyph pretty good hold. That's the Diffusal Blade surprise there that Cloud9 I think weren't ready for, and the fact that they got 2 kills out of that and didn't die any heroes is actually a really, really good outcome for them. Alliance probably going to be okay with holding that. The thing is, this is a Roche, and they cannot contest this at all. There are 3 heroes alive, so Cloud9 will be getting that. They got a lot of information out of that fight. They know what they're up against and how they need to deal with it.
A bit lucky for Cloud9 here. Very fast Roche respawn, and if that was a max timer, the inverse RNG, I guess you could say, things might have been a little different here where Alliance could have still contested that Roche on. So now they get Aegis and Cheese. Aegis goes the way of the Sniper, and Cheese will probably get passed around, but for now, in the inventory of the Bristleback, I think, as you would expect.
That was a very good reactionary play there from Bone 7, though. If he isn't that fast on the counterplay, they lose the Bristle instantly there. And that could have cost them the Roche, because then maybe Alliance chase them down, they get a couple of extra kills, maybe with a Clockwork Hook shot, maybe they get a Viper Strike out and just run them down with the Zeus ult for vision. And very, very important that Bone 7 comes up big there.
Yeah, very true. Rocket Flare scouting out Envy a little bit. Curious where he'll go with his itemization at this point. So what's the play for Cloud9 at this point, Sin? Is it just group up, wait for your GA to cool down, and just keep sieging the barracks?
I think so. Yeah, you get your abilities ready again. There's another good item here. This is what I requested from Troll. He decided to get it.
Very smart.
So secondary solution here.
Took heed to your advice, good sir.
Against the repel. Oh no. Oh no, Loda.
Well, smoke
gonna
gets
get
revealed.
forced.
Force staff, second force staff. Viper may yet still live. Sticky nasal goo comes out. Loda turns Viper Strike onto the repelled Bristleback. And this smoke rotation from Cloud9 will not yield a kill.
Very important that they have these double force staffs. I think it would have died if they only had one.
Yep, I think
Creating
so
a bit of a gap there to get Loda out. You would have probably had buyback there, but still, it's very crucial for them to not give anything away for free, as Big Daddy's looking to open a little more of an exclusive, exquisite zoo here with some nice new animals.
Oh,
no Granite Golem, though, which might be what they're waiting for.
Yeah, the Drake, very tanky, a good frontliner. The Thunderhide, I think, regarded as one of the weaker. The Slam is helpful. It does have a slow and an attack speed slow, but it's already dead. Oh, there we go. And a God from Chen will keep it alive. Double damage rune on Envy, making the siege a little easier. They'll put him in the front lines because he does have that Aegis. Hill from Bone 7 tops him off. Tower taking a fair bit of damage, but there's the swap into the base. That's the end of the Aegis of the Immortal, but there's still a lot to go. They'll also blow up Bone 7. No GA for this fight. Now Envy in deep. He'll get brought down quickly. Cloud9 on the back foot, just trying to retreat to mitigate their losses, but hook shot onto Big Daddy. He'll certainly fall, and they're not done yet. Fada caught inside of the Yules. This is a disaster for Cloud9 as they get completely repelled. Alliance win the fight without even using a glyph.
Yeah, that's a really, really important hold
now
here.
they glyph to save their range barracks up top, but Not needed for the siege.
I really feel like that was a wasted glyph, but they got out so far ahead there, 4,000 gold swing. And what's very important in this fight is that they swap in Envy, and it looked like Cloud9 weren't on the same page. He has an Aegis. Bone7 wants to try and help him. He blinks, and he immediately regrets his decision, and then he gets killed on the way out by a Zeus ult. And
they just weren't expecting the Omni to die that quickly. I think they were thinking Bone7 could sit far enough back, use those mobility tools like you talked about, and change the state of that fight. If the GA gets off, I think that's a completely different situation. Well, obviously it's completely different, but...
But he wasn't able. He was starting to cast, I think, Guardian Angel, and then he realized this is a bad idea, and even if he got it off, it would have just been purged, so it wasn't even worth the try. I think what Cloud9 need is a Linken's on the hero they want to repel. Or they might even need 2 Linken's so they can cast one on him, have another one, and then repel, and then Alliance are, it's kind of like they need as many Linken's as Alliance have diffusals, and
the issue
here,
they're
not coming right now.
Yeah, no one beginning a Linken's, and at this point, Cloud9 actually not holding on to the net worth lead anymore. With that successful fight, Alliance will pull into the lead and has a pretty big experience.
Yeah, that's a really big fight.
Yeah.
And what's important is that for Alliance, they immediately realize what situation they're in. They very quickly identified that that was a one fight, and they just all in it. They weren't like, okay, nice, we got the Aegis, let's relax and set it up again. They just went all in on that, killed Envy twice very easily after Bone7 died, and got a very big swing out of it. This is a lot of gold for Troll, mainly, who is closing in on another item.
I think Scotty probably your next stop off here. Just beef up a little bit, let Pycat be sort of that secondary front liner, and get that utility slow, of course. Next Roche, still a long ways away. The cheese was not used in that fight, so Bristle will hang on to that a little bit longer. Minor consolation here for Cloud9.
I'm in a pretty bad spot here. Cloud9 can only get one more death, or else my prediction is wrong. But you could see why I would predict it, right? It was definitely possible.
The thought process was absolutely right. If they had won the game or were able to seal it out, you know,
if they wouldn't have died, it would have been a great prediction. Yeah, well, it's still possible. Like, what could still happen is that Cloud9 get the perfect push where they don't get caught out of position. But Alliance have been playing a very good defensive game here with their diffusals, and any mistake from Cloud9 pretty much results in a lost fight at this point.
Yeah. Cloud9 running low on outer towers themselves, just this tier 2 in the top lane standing. And off the next push, if something like that happens again, Alliance will be going straight for the high ground if Roche is not up. Some damage done by Cloud9. Remember, the melee barracks up top did get taken out in one of the earlier pushes, but since then they just haven't been able to break these tier 3 towers. Still reasonably healthy.
Oh, wow, what a big item.
Slightly different from what I was thinking, but still big.
Cloud9 are going to have a problem killing this guy now. That's what Satanic usually does.
I mean, what was the timing you said early on? 45, 50 minutes, somewhere around there is when Alliance will have that late game that'll start to take over, at least be able to hold their own in a man fight against Cloud9, and we're getting to that timing, and we're starting to see it as the engagements come out. Cloud9 definitely not staying as aggressive as they were. I mean, what is the timing to start looking towards the high ground now? They seem struck with utter passivity at the moment.
I want to say next Aegis, but at the same time, it just feels like that's going to be too late, maybe. It really depends on the respawn timing here, and looks like their call is let's do something now.
Let's get the ranged barracks.
Yep. I mean, well, they know Alliance are all missing from the map, and no one is defending the Radiant base, so it's fairly obvious what's going on. Uh-oh.
Zeus ultimate scouts things out a little bit. Big Daddy takes some whirling axes. Shrapnel scouts things out. Hook shot in from Nikwa. Goes in onto Envy. Where's the follow-up, though? He gets hexed right away on the other side of the fight. Fata swapped in, taking a lot of damage. All heal comes out. He eats the cheese. That buys him a little bit of time. 2 down already for Alliance. The GA buys Fata that little bit of extra time he needed. Pycat goes down. Rasta wards are used to finish off Loda. The Stretch Armstrong shackles. It's a 4-for-1. Cloud9 take the fight, but buybacks are available. Already deployed by Loda. And Mad, the lone survivor, will try to book it back to the base. Now the high ground siege begins. No glyph available for Alliance. Envy repelled up. Looks like they may claim another lane of barracks off this. Buyback from the Clockwork now. Troll still dead.
And Mad is doing whatever he can here with the static field, but it actually doesn't do anything against this repel. Bone7, very importantly for Cloud9, does stay alive here. They might repel the push, as looks like Cloud9 are not interested in going in, but they took a very big fight there. It was Alliance trying to move out aggressively and find a fight, and it ends up really backfiring. This is probably going to give Cloud9 the next Roshan as well if they can manage to control the Radiant jungle, where Alliance vision is actually non-existent. They only have an aggressive ward. Surprisingly, they have a ward in the dire jungle, which, considering the game situation, seems a little bit off from where Cloud9 are playing the game.
Yeah. I'm not sure when they're going to venture out there to find a gank. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I can't offer any kind of reasoning for that one. Sniper, though, just going straight into damage at this point. Demon Edge in the inventory, and it looks like MKB will be his route. So anticipating some evasion from either the Viper or the Troll at some point this game.
Do you think this was the right item choice on Zeus? I feel like Ags in general on him is fairly underwhelming. So if you look at what it does, the only thing it does is increase the damage, right? And it gives another, what's this on level 3? It's 155 damage. If you compare that to the cost of a Refresher Orb and how much more damage you do because you get 2 static field procs and you get 2 ultimates, he would get 2 Force Staffs, 2 Yules, and I think he actually would have had the mana pool for it, or at least very close with, say, like a Null Talisman or something for a little bit of value mana. I don't know if this was the choice. It's, in my opinion, actually one of the weaker Aghanims upgrades in the game, even though it's very popular in pubs because, like, yeah, I hit harder globally with my ult, but look at how Cloud9's playing. Is that 155 damage going to make a big difference compared to, say, 2 Zeus ults?
I venture to say no, but we'll see. It does give him some additional stats, so maybe just worried about survivability. That's the only other advantage it gives you over the Refresher that I can think of. Alliance right now just farming their jungle as, mid lane, smoke rotation from Cloud9 straight into the base. They want to try to backdoor this. You've got a Granite Golem in the front lines just smacking away at the structures. Glyph comes out, and that will save the ranged barracks for now. And well, a noble effort from Cloud9, but kind of a backfire. Will they get punished for this is the next question. Big Daddy hit by a Viper Strike. Nikwa, hook shot on 2. Cogs to break up the fight. Big Daddy goes down first, and now the rest of Cloud9 just trying to split to get back to the base. They'll lose their clockwork, but he takes out a Shadow Shaman with him. A 1 for 2, and more importantly, Alliance repels the push once more.
My prediction.
It's a hard life, Sid.
I know. It's difficult. Yeah,
But thoughts about that play in general? Smoke in with, I mean, if creeps are pushing up top, that's a top-notch play. But with through backdoor protection, very ambitious.
I think Cloud9 thought there was no backdoor protection. Else that play doesn't really make much sense. I don't feel like they have enough damage to break this down fast enough. They did force out a Glyph, which could prove to be very important since that's a long cooldown. There's 4 minutes. Roshan, they know it's about to be available or available here. Question is if Alliance got enough out of that.
Yeah, I mean, Rasta wards were used, but that cooldown significantly shorter than the Glyph. So if that was all they wanted to trade, then I guess you could call it a success on that front. Fanta actually does end up picking up a Halberd. He did go the Sanj and Yasha first, so I don't know if I was really right in my prediction, but ends up with it nonetheless.
Oh, he got both?
Yeah, he didn't even break the SNY.
It is a good item.
And Roche now scouted out by both sides. This is Roche number 4, Aegis and Cheese right for the taking. Shrapnel coming down to give the Dire a lot of vision as Alliance just walk right into the pit. Pycat blinks forward, looking to start off this fight. Fata in the front lines, taking a fair bit of damage. Who's going to go down first? Pycat, BKB on, starting to throw those axes. The all-hill from Chen, buying Fata a lot of time. Huge damage from the Quills coming out onto Alliance, and Fata's still alive. Vengeful's already gone down, now Loda, and the front lines, hook shot onto 3. All trapped inside of the Cogs, but where's the damage? Loda's gone down, now Pycat reinitiating. Bone 7 gets left behind. He'll fall. It's a bloodbath in the river, but it looks like Cloud9 could possibly take the fight. Down goes the Troll as Venge buys back. Roshan still standing, rather healthy. And the rest of Cloud9 probably going to have to book it back to the well as they're not too healthy.
That's such an awkward area to fight in for both teams in the river here. Pretty much impossible to predict how that fight was going to turn out, but Cloud9 barely make it out alive there with Fata and ends up being their fight. And, they actually managed to win that. Bone 7 only Guardian Angeled himself. He never really found the position he was looking for, and I think it was in part because of the static field canceling his blink and maybe a wave of terror. Maybe he got hit by a rocket flare. There's actually a lot of things that can cancel out his blink dagger here. That's the main tool he has for making sure he gets a good GA off, but that amount of patience, though, how low they let Fata drop before they really started helping him, looked like they had a very good idea of the limits of the hero.
I think a lot of the awkwardness of that fight, like you were mentioning, is just the nature of this corridor here, and that's where Clockwork really shines. Such a great hook shot from Nikwa there, trapping 3 inside of the Cogs, and it's not even really Cloud9's fault in that area. There's just, that's Clockwork's bread and butter. Alliance, though, hanging on, but can't really put pressure on to Cloud9. Rocket Flare flying over Roshan. It does get scattered out by the ultimate from the Zeus. But this will be a Roshan claimed by Cloud9. Aegis picked up by Eternal Envy once more. And no surprise to see the cheese in the inventory of Bristleback.
So here we go again. Mid lane. 45 minutes in, I still feel like Cloud9 probably have the superior damage right now when it comes to fights. Or, well, maybe they don't have the superior damage, but they definitely have enough sustain. It's giving you the finger.
No, you.
Yeah, that's my exactly. That's my comeback. No, you.
Cloud9 looking to find an opportunity to siege. Big Daddy's still utilizing these ancient creeps pretty effectively. You'll usually see Chen's just grab the ancient golem, but he's been prioritizing ancient black drakes quite a bit. There was a point where he actually had 2 of them in his arsenal. Very, very beefy.
I think he would rather have 4 granite golems, but he's just getting what he can, right? Just some beefy frontliners, and of course the Hellbear Smasher for the attack speed aura.
Well, here we go. The siege on the high ground. No glyph for the Radiant. Rasta wards to start things off. Swap onto Fata to bring him deeper into the base. All heal from Chen. Can Fata live through this? He pops his Crimson Guard, taking a fair bit of damage, but the barracks now exposed will start to take damage as well. There's your GA. Cloud9 trying to reset this fight a little bit. They just want the objectives. They get it, and now they'll try to back out. Can Alliance punish this, though? This is the question, and the answer is no.
Yeah, they got 1 Millirex for that, and what looks to be a tier 4.
And they also got a kill on the Clockwork.
Decent hold for Alliance. They need to outlast the Aegis, and then they have a shot, but...
Was that a decent hold, losing a tier 4 and a melee barracks?
Given the circumstances, if they would have tried to really fight hard, the game would have been over, I think. So, considering what could have happened, I think this is an okay hold. The problem is the cooldowns on Cloud9. Let's see, there's 2 minutes on Guardian Angel. Then they still have a window of about a minute for the Aegis. I think that's the bigger fight where Alliance... If Cloud9 time it perfectly, they will have another fight with Aegis and Guardian Angel, and of course the cheese that wasn't used either. And
right.
The game is probably going to end there unless Alliance put up a really, really good fight. Yeah. But if Cloud9 missed their timing by, say, a minute and the Aegis is gone, it could be an opening for Alliance to just go swap Envy in and kill him off instantly.
It does feel like Alliance is getting into Hail Mary mode. Hold that thought as there's a swap onto Envy. Heal comes out, but Pycat blinks forward. Will he win the man fight? He does. That's the end of the Aegis. Looks like Misery will die off to the side. Pycat, though, taking a lot of damage. He's in very deep right now without the GA. Maybe he can win this fight. Going hard onto Envy. There's your hook shot from Nico to lock him in place. It's a dead sniper. Alliance may have found the break that they needed. Fata now low on the back foot. He's trying to make it back to the base, but Viper slowing him to all hell. Hook shot will be off the mark. That would have secured the kill, but now Fata does live. The problem here, though, is their high ground will be under assault. The question of buybacks here, Sind. And there's one deployed.
Actually, unneeded at that point in time. Alliance didn't even have creeps with them and probably can't fight through the backdoor protection, although Troll is good for it, but he doesn't have damage items. He has a lot of sustainability and tankiness, but doesn't really hit that hard. And I think Alliance are happy they got that buyback. They might, they would have probably still been able to force it out, I guess.
I think so.
It would happen inevitably, but really, really big for them to catch Sniper before the second base push, because it would have been so much harder down there.
Exactly. That timing window you just talked about is now kaput. If C9 wants to do something similar, they'll have to wait out the next Roshan, and it's still a while before that guy's coming up. The Aegis is still pretty far from expiration. BKB is getting down to 5 seconds here, glancing at the graph once more. It's Cloud9 holding onto a lead. The big problem for Alliance here, though, Sind, is that they don't have any safety structures left. No Tier 3 towers, just exposed barracks, and only this melee barracks is looking healthy right now. And C9 kind of at the point where they can just push his 5 down the mid lane, drop all of their ultimates in succession, and just focus the structures. I mean, what do you do during the GA to keep your barracks alive if you don't have a glyph?
You defusal 2 heroes and hope that's enough. Oh, nice Zeus ult here from Mad is going to scout them out, sensing that something is up here with Cloud9 not showing on any lanes and plays it safe. Turns out to be maybe the most important Zeus ult of the game. That could have been very, very scary for them if they got caught inside their own base and buys them time. No Aegis. She's still available for Fata. Did not have to use it in that last fight. It's still a very important tool for them to have.
I don't think we made note of this, but Bone 7 did manage to farm up an Aghanim Scepter.
Oh, yeah.
We've now got global GA that'll work on structures. That is huge on the Omni Knight.
The most important thing about it is that he can actually just...
He can just sit in the well at this point.
He repels Bristle or Sniper, whoever he feels like, and then he stands 2,000 range behind the fight. Or anywhere in the trees where he probably doesn't get hook shot or at least not swapped or anything. And makes it very, very easy for him to get a good GA off, where we saw in a couple of previous fights getting some mediocre GAs because it's very difficult to get their positioning right. So that is indeed a very important pickup.
Also, BOT's up on Fata, so he's now a little more mobile, can split push if need be. And
this is pretty cute in the bottom lane, what's happening right now. So Mad is doing whatever he can to push out the lane. Unfortunately, these two creeps actually don't care about it.
That's spell immunity,
Both
though.
magic immune. And they're just pushing slowly but steadily. They're actually pretty terrible at it, but it's something.
Now,
and there's the refresher. Wow.
This is a big one.
Okay, that's a really big item.
So damage output from Zeus is now off the charts. Pycat will come down, find a little bit of farm. He's got a lot of gold himself. For Alliance, holding gold for buyback, pretty important at this stage as well. If the siege comes, and they do get caught unaware. So at this point, do you think Cloud9 try to wait out next Roche? Is that the play?
I think so.
You don't sound so confident, sir.
Well, the way they're playing, I think it's what they're going to do. I was just wondering if it's the best decision, but I do think it is actually the best decision. It doesn't look like Alliance are able to put enough pressure on the map. The Constant Splay pushing top. The Chen creeps are actually doing, even though they push slowly, they still push. So there has to be some sort of defense from Alliance from time to time in the lanes, and they can just wait. It looks like they might have different plans, though. We'll see. Fata charging in pretty aggressively here on the top lane.
He certainly is. Feeling rather brave. Does have that cheese.
Forces a reaction. Zeus porting back here. And Gem picked up now by the Bristle.
All right, Pycat getting rid of his phase boots here and upgrading to BOTs as inventory slots are becoming something of the essence.
It's actually insane how fast he is. He has permanent 510 move speed.
That's pretty gross.
It's really crazy.
Loda also picked up the Scythe of Vice. I don't know that we talked about it, but I like this choice here. More control for Alliance gives you some sort of initiation tool to deal with this Omni Knight. If they could somehow catch Bone 7, or catch the Sniper for that matter.
It would be nicer for them if it was the Clockwork that had it, because he can catch him out, like find him with the rocket, hookshot in, and then Hex or Orchid or whatever it would be. But yeah, Loda having one could help.
Rather ambitious for Nikwa to try and farm that up, though.
I think it's just as ambitious for Loda to try to get a Hex on the Omni, to be honest. Bone 7 actually needs to be really far out of position now that he has the Ags. He can just play it super safe every fight. And speaking of super safe, this is pretty safe play.
That's pretty much what Cloud9's doing. There's your ultimate from Zeus, and all heal from Chen comes out straight away. They get the intel to see Cloud9 all turtled up in their base.
Alliance have to go back to defend. They're porting down the Troll. Split push here. He will be cleaning up at least one creep here. Chen trying to summon them back. I think, yeah, he gets the dragon.
That's a nice bounty for him there.
Money.
Troll getting rather large, still holding on to quite a bit of gold. The problem with these diffusals, though, is soon Pycat's going to need this inventory slot for something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but then again, the other heroes can just buy it, I guess. I mean, it doesn't have to be Pycat carrying it. I think he bought it at the time because they felt they needed a secondary, and he had the money in the moment. But Zeus is actually starting to get so much farm that he could get one. We could see Clockwork, if he really wants to get one. Or Loda could just Midas a couple of times, and then he'll have it. And, well,
we'll see that Roche respawn timer here.
Boom, there it goes.
Okay. Take a look at inventories. Not too much else has happened in the last couple minutes. Both teams now getting into that dangerous tiptoeing territory. 53 minutes in. Losing the next team fight would be disastrous. Both sides being very cautious here. Remember, this is the lower bracket. This is an elimination series. This is not the time to take unnecessary risk. You see Mad spamming out that lightning bolt. They will get one ward. Assassinate, just trying to soften him up a little bit. Looking for any kind of vision control, but Shrapnel will make things a little easier. Take a look at Dire Vision here, and you can see how little they can see.
I think Cloud9 are waiting for the buyback on Envy. It's a very important part.
It's up soon, less than a minute.
Playing aggressively now, and they know Roshan didn't spawn, so this is the time.
Ultimate from Zeus, the wraparound play catches Omni, or Envy rather. Omni pops the ultimate, but Sniper still falls. Big Daddy in a lot of trouble as well, trapped inside of the cogs, nowhere to go. A buyback from the Chen. Envy will have his coming up in about 25 seconds, but still on cooldown.
Yeah, Alliance probably won't be able to take a tower off this. There is a glyph, there's backdoor protection, their top lane is being pushed. Their tier 4 is a bit of a buffer here. It has 1600 health, so this creep wave will not be able to take it, but they're running out of time and they feel the pressure and will start going in here, Envy, with the buyback available very soon. However, GA was used, and that's probably the biggest of deals. Even if Envy respawns, He doesn't have that safety net.
Glyph has come out. Alliance will get this lane of barracks. Fata runs in, takes a fair bit of damage to get things started. Envy will buy back now. The all heal from Chen. Alliance need to get the hell out of there. Loda will get left behind, and he will die. Meanwhile, Pycat does TP home. That tier 4 tower you were talking about that was healthy, now very low on HP.
That's Roshan.
Alliance is effectively out of safety structures.
And they had to port back. They buy back Loda. They know this is the fight. This is the Roshan they have to fight for. They will start moving. Well, they're going to rocket it, so they know it hasn't spawned just yet, but it's closing in on maximum spawn time, and there we go.
Yeah, both teams should be pretty aware of that timer at this point. Big Daddy still holding on to some ancient creeps here. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Fata caught out. Loda doing a fair bit of damage, but the Abyssal Blade comes down from the skies. This could be a dieback for Loda. He'll fall, and this could bode badly for Alliance. Now Nikwa on the back foot. Ultimate from Zeus does a fair bit of damage, but where's the follow-up? Pycat, BKB on, brings down Envy. It's a dieback for him. All of a sudden, things looking a little bit better for Alliance. Swap onto Fata. Stunned up. The big damage is coming out, but he eats the cheese and gets healed up by Omni Knight. That's enough to find the kill on Ake. Pycat hexed into a little piggy. Mad isolated by the shackle. They'll bring him down. 2 left alive for Alliance, but soon to be 1. Mad on the run. Ghost Scepter buys him a little bit of time. Maybe finds another kill. Nope, that'll be the end of it. Troll now forced to buy back. What an awkward fight that was, Synderin.
This could still go either way. Yeah, it's a really big win for Cloud9, but at the same time, 70 seconds on the sideline for Envy means they will not be able to push. They will get this Roshan. There's no way in hell Alliance can contest this with 2 versus 4.
Yeah, they'll be forced to defend anyhow. This tier 4 tower can't afford to take any extra damage. She's proving to be very effective in that fight. If Fata wasn't holding on to it, that would have been a completely different exchange. Now this time, Aegis of the Immortal goes to the Bristleback. Level 25, he's pretty massive. How much does it hurt Cloud9 to not have that Aegis on the sniper? At this point, I guess he is having slot issues.
I think having it on Fatsa is
better? Or it's just as good?
I don't know. Yeah, I was about to say it's just as good because it's all about having some hero that can siege and draw attention to himself and has to be killed twice.
No Glyph for the Radiant. Oh, this is scary. Rasta wards come down. They get the ranged barracks. Melee under heavy siege. This won't be Mega Creeps, but Pycat stunned by the Abyssal. Fata in the front lines just pinging out the structures. They want Megas. Now Alliance going to have to go all in if they want to have a chance in this game. Nikwa turned into a chicken. They're about to roast him. He'll make it back to the well. And C9 will just back out. Swap onto Fata. Remember, he's the one with the Aegis here, so even if they bring him down once,
they actually can't kill him.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit over for Alliance. This is the last fight that they can take. Tier 4 tower, their last one remaining, and it looks like not for long. So what's the play here? You're Mega'd. The enemy has an Aegis. What do you do here, Synderin?
So Alliance have to try to push out the bottom and the top lane with a few heroes, and then they have to go all in mid with Boots of Travel and just try to end the game. Like, they have to try to skip the barracks mid, win a fight, and go for the throne. If they just play a passive defensive game, they're going to get pushed very soon. I don't think Cloud9 want to wait for the next Roche. They just use the Aegis they already have for a while. They actually have 3 minutes on that, which should be more than enough. If they really want, they could wait for Envy to get buyback in 3 minutes. That's going to cost them the Aegis. Then it's about what they think is more important. But at this point in time, if Cloud9 reach the base, I feel like the game is pretty much over. So Alliance can't let them do it.
I don't know about waiting for that buyback on Envy, mostly because Alliance have most of their big buybacks on cooldown also. All of the cores here unavailable, so a couple different ways Cloud9 can take this. Given that there are Mega Creeps, though, perhaps they have that option of just sitting back and playing passive, knowing that Alliance just can't leave the base and will eventually get starved out.
And the push in the bottom lane has to be dealt with again by Pycat. The Chen creeps actually being very annoying. Is this how the ranged Mega Creeps usually look for the Dire? Those staffs seem really big.
Well, they are Mega Creeps after all, Synderin.
I don't remember them. They look like swords. Or like spears.
Well, they did get an upgrade a couple of patches ago. Ice Frog knows the creeps as well.
I don't know how I haven't noticed this before, if it's an old thing.
Gotta step up your game, son. What are you doing?
I just always play Radiant, and I never lose my barracks.
You're just that good. I've never been Mega Creeped. I don't know what they look like. That must be a good life that you live, sir. I'm full of envy. Well, 2 minutes left on this Aegis of the Immortal. And C9 seem struck with passivity once again, just farming out their jungle, not even venturing close to the Alliance base, at least not quite yet. If they want to utilize this Aegis, they need to make that move soon. They do also have an Alpha Wolf on their side, compliments of the Chen, buffing up Envy's damage that much more. I guess he can dump this S and Y and look towards another upgrade, although I don't know what the next logical step is for the sniper. Maybe just raw damage, go dataless perhaps?
What's his main problem right now? What's he getting killed by?
Control. I mean, Pycat's just
I was thinking
focusing
Ghost
him in these
Scepter. There's a
fights.
couple of abilities that will hit him really hard then, the Zeus Ult and the Viper Strike, but
Skull Basher. Slow down the troll while he's BKB'd.
Basher could actually work.
Actually not the most ridiculous thing.
If he gets a bash on the troll, he's able to create a gap, and that's all that matters.
If you bash the troll
So
once while he's
potentially,
BKB'd, that completely changes what Pycat's been able to do in
That
these
is
last
actually
few
entirely
stages.
possible.
Wow, this clockwork is just so poor. Down below the Vengeful Spirit. Nikwa picked up that Aghanim Scepter relatively early on, then after that, he's just been the sacrificial lamb. Alliance with limited places to farm. He's been the one that's found next to nothing in terms of CS. Alliance hanging on for now. They're one tier 4 tower, getting close to deny range as creeps start to chip away at it. Still a long ways off Roshan. Viper now just trying to grab any kind of creep clear items that he can. Maelstrom, Mjolnir, great for these kind of scenarios just to kill the creeps.
It's the only way Viper can do it. Notoriously horrible at wave clearing, this hero.
Yeah.
Actually very impressive. Looking at Lotus Farm, it's very rare, I feel like, that you see a Viper with 350 CS. It's not a high amount at minute 62 for a carry type of hero, but Viper just doesn't flash farm well at all.
And don't forget that he did have that Midas very early on, so that has helped his bottom line a fair bit. Aegis now, kaput from the inventory of Fata. C9 are grouped up in the bottom lane. Zeus already used that first ult for a little bit of scouting intel. We'll be stuck on cooldown for another minute. Fata was a huge item pickup here. We'll need to wait for the courier.
Big.
Assassinate onto Ake to soften him up a little bit. Cloud9 being very cautious here, respecting the power of Alliance and recognizing that if they get wiped up here, it could still bode badly for them.
There's no point in taking this risk in such an important match.
Yeah.
Just wait for the key item to come out, wait for all of your abilities to be perfectly ready, and go for it. Nice amount of health on Fata, by the way. Exactly 3K, here we
Swap onto
go!
Bone 7, hook shot in from Nikwa. They're on to Fata. Ake could be the first one to go down. Power Cogs breaking up this fight. Bone 7 falls before the GA comes out. Now he does have a buyback. Remember, he's got the Aghanim, so he could pop this from the well. Clockwork's down. No buyback available on him. Pycat falls as well. He's dead. This should be game.
It's the right call from Alliance to try to go for the Omni Knight, but they didn't have enough, and he even had the buyback. That was pretty much an impossible fight to win for them. Cloud9 do end up winning it after an hour, and the most important thing for them was that they built enough of an advantage in the early mid-game to be able to win this late into the game with their draft. Well, it did...
Well, a bold prediction you made and a bold prediction that didn't come true, Sin.
They did make a couple of mistakes that delayed the game a lot, but they kept their composure and did manage to finish it off. I think Alliance also played very well defensively. When you're under this much pressure, it's very easy to make one or two mistakes and then you suddenly just lose the entire game. And they actually made very few mistakes on defense, but they were just, like, draft-wise, it was very difficult for them to get a big enough fight to be able to take anything meaningful across the river after they were behind.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, that was only game 1, so there will be another match coming up here. This is